Okay, we are recording.
All right, I will, this is Keith Soboleski, Chair of the Building Board. I'll call this three-member panel to session. The case before the panel this evening is, just read this off.
Yes.
Is BCA-0122, an appeal of the notice to vacate. How we'll proceed with this is after a roll call, we'll hand it over to staff to give them an opportunity to provide a synopsis of the case. Once, we'll give you about 10 minutes to do that. Once that's taken place, we'll hand this over to the appellant, and they will have an opportunity to make their case and provide any rebuttal. And is there anything else that we got to bring up at that point? All right, well, let's proceed to a roll call then. Thank you.
All right. Bryce Hamill?
Here.
Mr. Keith Soboleski?
Here.
Don McCann?
Here.
3 members are present. Now I'll read into the record staff. Ross Knopfsinger?
Here.
Scott Campbell?
Here.
Don Hickel?
Present.
Bill Peterson?
Here.
Jimmy Jaworski?
Here.
And online is Greg Soule
Here.
and Ben Bowman.
Here.
And I also see that Amy Dubrowski is online. And we are good. Staff is here.
All right, so the agenda for the evening is simply the appeal of notice to vacate. So I will hand it off to staff to provide a synopsis.
So I'm going to do a very short overview. Basically, the Forest Park Trailer Court has failed to provide compliant potable water to its residents for many years now. And they've been working, the state of Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation has been working with the owners of the facility, trying to achieve a compliant potable water system with no success. And after several years of this, we've reached this extreme situation where the municipality of Anchorage has issued notices to vacate for the residents of the trailer park. And we will obviously get into more detail later on in the proceedings.
All right. I would like to hand it over to the appellant. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Cindy Johnson.
Hello. So I'll just hand it over to you and give you an opportunity to provide your rebuttal to the decision that's before us.
Okay. And if you don't mind, you know, I'm a little nervous, so.
I'm sorry, we have to swear you guys in.
Oh.
We'll go there first.
It should be right in here. There you go, right there. Just read it. And raise your right hand, please.
Everybody?
Everyone who is going to testify, please raise your right hand.
Just here.
Yes.
All right. Do you affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before us is the truth?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead and proceed
Okay.
now.
Please forgive me, I'm nervous, so I'm going to read from my notes if that's okay.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to review the municipality's notice to vacate posted on our homes on May 9, 2022. I have not received notice, and no one has told me that Forest Park is ceasing to operate as a mobile home park. In fact, beginning in September 2020, after receiving a 270-day notice to quit from the owners due to the earthquake-damaged water system, several residents who are present tonight took the owners to court through Alaska Legal Services and spent a year fighting the eviction notice, and the court overturned that eviction notice, even with us not having water. No representative from any agency, department, municipality, or state has talked with the residents of Forest Park about any condemnation or why. The owners have told me it is not their intention to close the mobile home park. The notice to vacate I received is vague and ambiguous. I don't even think it applies to any of us. We're the homeowners, we're not the property owners. I do not believe the notice to vacate met the notice requirements under 237704. The only thing that met the standards was the site address. The notice to vacate should tell me precisely what code provisions I am being accused of violating. In my case, my home has been designated a dangerous building, but the notice does not tell me precisely what code violations I'm violating that make it a dangerous building. The owner has confirmed that she never received a certified notice as stated, nor did the contracted general manager. The owners of the property no longer manage the property. They have contracted with somebody else who's attempting to purchase the property. No one with a legal authority over the property was properly notified. This notice also does not align with the legislature's attempt to protect mobile homeowners when creating AS 3403-225, which requires a 270-day notice to move mobile homes. The statute restricts the move dates between October 15th and May 1st, so the November 9th exceeds that October 15th deadline that the legislature set out. The packet I received from the department on September 15th in preparation for this hearing contained new information outside the scope of the notice to vacate, in that the notice to vacate never refers to our neighborhood's water system,
Yes.
only dangerous buildings. But by now it's obvious.
Okay.
The notice to
Okay,
vacate
come
is
around
about the
to
Forest
the
Park's
right side of the
temporary
building.
overland water distribution
And I will
system.
have Jimmy meet you.
But I nor my neighbors are legally or financially responsible to make the corrections requested by the city. This response from the department relies on an affidavit from Willie Robertson with AFDC, who I know personally. Ongoing court cases against the owners that is over 4 years old for past violations, and a 2020 notice of violation to the property owners that is 2 years old, nothing in between. Residents did not receive a copy of the 2020 notice of the violation that the owners did. And I don't believe any of the conditions addressed in that notice to the owners still exist at the park. The state of Alaska case was litigated for violations that occurred in the past under our abandoned water system, not the current water system. Not only am I a 15-year resident of Forest Park, for 11 years, I was the business manager for the out-of-state property owners. I engaged regularly with ADEC over the years. I was the certified water operator for the system, did water sampling, pressure testing, and have hundreds of email exchanges regarding our water wastewater systems with ADEC. I can unabashedly tell you that no one knows more about this property than myself. I have copies of every document from the offices of ADEC and this department, and collected so much information about our water system, I updated ADEC's information. I feel comfortable talking about our systems and in telling you that the newly provided September 14th affidavit from Lori Robertson is helpful, but incomplete, inaccurate, and written to generate fear. Mr. Robertson states that the overland system was built without pre-authorization. That is not true. I myself spoke personally with Mr. Robertson and the program director, Cindy Christensen, multiple times before, during, and after we started the emergency construction repair of the overland system in mid-December 2020. When you guys, I don't know if you remember, temperatures were below zero during that time. The final mobile home was connected to the overland system Super Bowl weekend 2021. The licensed certified installer with the highest level of certification for water distributions in the state of Alaska also spoke with Mr. Robertson throughout the construction to confirm the materials necessary for the system provide potable water. Mr. Robertson also dismisses the engineer's report, Jeff Garness, as unremarkable. Yet the most remarkable thing is the last sentence. The water is bacteria free. Regardless of any of this, the perpetual boil water order and the sampling is the cure for our water fears right now. Mr. Robertson's affidavit also states that Forest Park is not completing its monthly water samplings, but that is just not true. And I have here a copy of our samples for the last year from the time it came back online. Forest Park water sampling follows, as most of engineers would know, a monitoring summary created by ADEC. In June, we did have a positive coliform test requiring a retest, which, as you know, if we have a positive, we have to immediately retest. And it came back absent. The retest came back absent for coliform. While the monthly coliform test can be an indicator of some type of bacteria in the water, it does not necessarily suggest the water system is itself contaminated. It could be a contamination from the sampling source or a false positive. The temporary water system is being operated by a certified water operator, again with the highest level of certifications for water distribution in the state. Every precaution is taken to ensure this system is maintained and bacteria-free. But again, the boil water order is the cure. Mr. Robertson suggests that the upper part does not have adequate water pressure, but provides no observational data to prove that. We can prove it does. And just ask any of the homeowners here tonight. The water pressure in our neighborhood is better than the entire 15 years I've lived there. The water operator has emailed pressure readings to EPA once a week for the past 5 months, and I have a copy of those here as well. What Mr. Robertson fails to mention is the state of Alaska has set out requirements should the overland system continue to be used beyond the notice to vacate date. To me, this suggests that the overland system has proven it can be successfully maintained and meet our sanitation needs at this time. And I have a copy of the proposed judgment from the state of Alaska where they lay out exactly what they want us to do if the system remains in place after the November 9th deadline. And we believe we can meet all those requirements. Mr. Robertson's affidavit also accuses the owners of attempting a stopgap measure with no intentions of fixing the earthquake damaged system. That is simply not true. I think they were just trying to follow a court order and get us water. Beginning in October 2020, up to the posting of this notice, and even now, the general manager and myself, with the cooperation of the owner, have actively worked to find a permanent solution for the distribution system, consulting with engineers, seeking bids, proposals, and more importantly, funding. The most promising collaboration came in February of this year, when several attorneys and 2 engineers with the U.S. Department of Environmental Protection traveled to Alaska from DC and met with 8 city officials, including the municipal attorney, Ben Bowman, and 2 state officials at Forest Park to discuss a permanent solution and funding for our neighborhood's water issues. Expected to be at that meeting that day at our park was from the federal government, U.S. Attorney, Trial Attorney Genevieve Parshall, Patrick Johnson, who I believe is an EPA here in Alaska, Heidi Rausch, an EPA environmental engineer who also flew up, Jessica Landrup, EPA compliance manager, who also flew up. From the state was Darlene Valido, an ADEC engineer. From the municipality, 8 officials. Mark Schirmasser, AWW Engineering Director, Timothy Forbus, AWW Treatment Director, David Persinger, AWW and O&M Director, Brian Ross, AWW Capital Program Manager, James Armstrong, AWW Project Manager, and Ben Bowman, as I said, MOA Municipal Attorney, and then Adam Trombley was also invited. Of course, he's the head of the Department of Economic and Community Development. I don't think he showed up. Then on May 4th, I received an email from one of the U.S. attorneys, Genevieve, notifying me that the U.S. government would no longer be able to assist us as the state of Alaska had decided to ask the municipality to move forward with a condemnation of the mobile home park. The notice to vacate was posted May 9th, just 5 days after that email. But this isn't what code enforcement did. The notice to vacate condemns our homes as dangerous buildings, not the mobile home park. This is not a condemnation. This is a taking of our homes, a deprivation of property, a violation of many state and federal regulations and the law. This is not the proper venue for this matter. I don't want anybody here to think I don't take this seriously. I do. If I had concerns about our water, I would be broadcasting it to anybody who would listen, but I don't. This is about my home, my retirement, my quality of life. The notice to vacate wasn't properly executed, and having consulted with a lawyer, as have many of the homeowners here, I believe this is a violation of the law, an illegal taking of my home, not some dangerous, dilapidated building. Homeowners in this neighborhood cannot be held accountable for the duties and responsibilities of the property owner. Compliance with code and regulations lie with them, and I ask you to see Municipal Code 2170-140, responsibility for compliance, complete responsibility for the standards established by the mobile home park standards by this chapter for construction within a mobile home shall rest solely with the owners of the park. My objections to this notice vacate include nothing in this notice applies to individual homeowners. The notice wasn't properly served under the code cited. The notice is contrary to state and federal laws. As I mentioned, AS 3403-225 most specifically. The takings clause is a Fifth Amendment violation, taking property without just compensation. And I found some Alaska Constitution violations that might be too. Supporting history for the violations of the abandoned system, the abandoned distribution system are well in the past, like years. We have been hooked up to that. That's my opening. I do have witnesses here I'd like to call if you would like to hear from them.
Can I give the, I would like to hand it back over to staff at this point.
Okay.
We can still go there
Okay.
afterwards, but I'd like to hand this back over to staff right now and give them an opportunity to hear what they have to say.
So this emergency, my name is Ross Knopfsinger, by the way, acting building official. And so this emergency or temporary water system was installed January of 21, basically.
It began in December 20 and ended the big Super Bowl weekend.
And at the time, how long was this emergency system intended to remain in place?
We were actually actively seeking and in the process of receiving funding. It just seems like we would have received funding if the community hadn't put in their notice to vacate. That was already moving forward. The U.S. Department of EPA had decided to treat our community like a village and use that. I'm not sure how that works. They were talking about it and they met with Ben Bowman, so he knows more about that than I do. But no, it was never meant to be temporary. I mean permanent, and we never created a submittal that said it was permanent. But I will point out that it lasted that entire winter and another whole winter with no issues. We've had no issues with our water.
And how long do you anticipate this temporary system is going to remain in place?
It depends on this notice to vacate. I have multiple people, and I had a phone call last week from somebody who wants to buy a park, wants to invest the money to install a new system. But I believe that we have people who want to move forward with us. Unfortunately, ABC is making that difficult.
So I meant to give you an opportunity to
And may I
present.
just interject? I am not speaking on behalf of the owners. I am not involved in any lawsuit that the owners are involved in, of which there is 4, including a criminal case. I just ask questions, and I've called and spoke directly with the owners and gotten this information.
Is the owner present this evening?
No, she's not. Her attorney advised her not to be because she's involved in these lawsuits.
Okay. But Ross, I meant to give you an opportunity to present your information. I mean, is that kind of?
I was going there. Excuse me for being a little informal.
Okay,
Okay.
it's fine, I just, I mean, is the questioning, is that questioning intended to?
Well, I mean, that's the
inf-
whole gist
inform
of,
inform the division, the decision that's already been made?
well, that's kind of the whole reason we're here, right? Is the existing underground system has been in some sort of various state of failure for maybe a couple decades, who knows?
Mhm.
Looking at the court case and Alaska ADEC's records, right? The earthquake didn't break it. It was broken before the earthquake. The earthquake may have made it worse. But long story short, anyway, a temporary system had to be installed and was installed. This temporary system, according to ADEC, it's got a lot of deficiencies associated with it, which our staff has observed too. And probably the most concerning deficiency it has with it is the potential for back siphonage, which we refer to that in the plumbing code as a cross connection, a potential cross connection, where because it's above ground, laying on the ground, in order to have freeze protection, they put in these basically just some daylighting type valves that they can open in the wintertime just so it has flow through it. Well, these valves subject the system to back siphonage, which back siphonage can happen when there's insufficient pressure in the system too, which is ADEC's case is, or one of the requirements is the system has to be able to maintain 20 PSI continuously forever, never drop below that. And according to ADEC, it's never been demonstrated that the system can do that consistently. And so the combination of not being able to maintain the state of Alaska code required minimum operating pressure, combined with the fact that it's got these openings where back siphonage can occur, combined with the fact that the piping's just laying on the ground and in ditches, creates a real potential for basically contaminants, bacteria and whatnot getting into the system. The system, the guy may have had a certification with the state of Alaska to operate the system, but the guy who installed the system is not.
He's a certified installer.
He's not an appropriately licensed plumbing contractor as required by municipal law and as required by state law to install a potable water piping system. The engineering required by state law was never submitted to the state of Alaska for approval, which it couldn't have been approved anyway because the piping is just laying on the ground, so it's subject to mechanical damage. Vehicles could run over it, whatever. And it's obviously subject to freezing. It's not protected from freezing. According to the state of Alaska, they've had no success in getting any of these deficiencies corrected.
Through the chair, I have a question. I think you asked the question about how long was the system intended to be used, and I didn't hear an answer for that. So I'm just curious, when this was originally installed, what was the intent for how long this was going to last?
So Dave Cronick had created a grant. He had written a grant for us, which we were close to getting.
And I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. I don't know who that is. Can you
He's with
explain?
Northern Utilities.
Okay.
Dave Cronick. He's successfully gotten these grants through for water systems before, and I challenge him, his saying that our system. I have hundreds of emails with DEC. DEC is provided the case they need to provide to win their case again. Something like 270 violations of the owners of the abandoned. We are no longer hooked to that system. No piping is laying in any ditch anywhere. You can go out and check that out. We also have material on site to winterize that pipe, but everything's stopped.
Mr. Hamill did ask a
So
question
anyhow,
as far as the
When
expected duration.
when DEC asks us to do something, we have to present a submittal, and they gave us so much time. The newest thing they have given us is they're giving us till November 2023 to install the new system. And I have a copy of that here if you want to see that in their own writing.
I'm sorry, that was the DEC. that's right.
DEC.
Gave you that length of time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it's going to take that length of time. And by the way, when EPA came up, they suggested it would be 5 years, and AWWU was going to install a new system.
Again, when this was installed, what was the intent or what was approved for how long the system was going to be in place? That's all I'm asking.
Or I would add on to that, if you know, because you weren't responsible for installing that system, correct?
I helped collect all the materials. Our partners in Eagle River, many people came forward and helped pay for those materials. They weren't paid for by the owner. The installer was not paid. We did this all on our own, just like you would have done when you first came to Alaska. The installer is a professional. He is licensed. He has a business license. He owns multiple water systems throughout the state of Alaska, including Wasilla and Anchorage here. So, and again, he has the highest certification ADEC has available.
Point of order. I just need an answer to the question. That's it.
So I don't know what the answer to that
Oh, okay.
is.
That's an answer.
Because
That's all I
right
wanted to
now,
know.
ADEC is suggesting to me that we can make it through this next winter because we've done it for 2 winters now. And then they have this requirements that they've set out that we do the boil water notices. And then within so many days, we get an engineer who presents a design and then we have that in system provided by November 2023. I've got an engineer, and I've reached out to engineers in the lower 48 who do this pro bono, who are willing to fly to Alaska to help us put this system together. But I'm requesting, my request is that we allow the system to continue with some improvements to winterize it. No piping is anywhere near being driven over. The ones that go under the road are encased in normal protection.
Understood. I think at this point.
So November
for-
2023.
Okay, for this hearing, I think we're just trying to determine the appeal for the notice to vacate.
Right.
So I don't think we're talking about improvements or anything specific with.
But how long it was supposed to last?
That's
It was
all I wanted to
supposed to last just a year because we already had things in place to go ahead and
Okay.
move forward with that.
And then that didn't follow through, right?
Because, yes, because I received this email May 4th from the EPA, and I'll just state, the state of Alaska has decided to ask the municipality to move forward with the combination at Forest Park. In light of the state's decision, the United States can no longer continue to pursue a receivership at Forest Park for the purposes of facilitating replacing the underground water drinking system. And I find it very curious that everything coordinated, a notice to vacate, even this order that I got from the court saying that should it continue past the November 9th notice to vacate, I'm thinking, how did the court know about that already? You know, so everything seems to be coordinated.
So was there anything more to your, sorry, Ross, handing it back to you. Was there anything more that you wanted to state up front?
No, not at this time.
So having heard the basis of both arguments, I think it's fair to say that this issue is mired in a myriad of legal issues. The issue before the board this evening is the appeal to the notice to vacate. To that effect, I would like to kind of we recognize that there are issues with the existing water system and that they should be addressed. However, I would like to put that aside because the reason for that is because those issues are presented to the owner. I find it interesting that the individuals appealing that decision for the notice to vacate are not the owner. They are the residents of the trailer park. I would direct this question to staff and ask, what is the intention behind the notice to vacate? What purpose is it intended to serve?
I would say that the intent is to basically light a fire under the owners to fix this.
Okay,
So we're collateral damage.
Can I add?
yes, could you please identify yourself?
Ben Bowman, Assistant Municipal Attorney.
Yes, go for it.
DEC does not have a general condemnation power. And so the most that they can do is shut down and condemn the water system. They have, as is evidenced by the affidavit, which is in the materials, included with the appeal packet for the administration, they have made their stance and opinion and perspective on this water system relatively clear. Due to the ongoing and long-standing actions of the owners, DEC asked the municipality for the safety of the residents and the general well-being to go ahead and use our general condemnation power. They basically asked, is there anything you can do to help us stop this emergency problem that is not being solved, is not going anywhere based on the actions of the landowner. There's I believe in the appeal packet, you have an order from the Alaska court, which outlines the actions of the owner throughout this whole process. You have an affidavit from DEC, which similarly outlines their perspective and actions of this process. The MOA, EPA, and DEC were working very closely together to try to find some light forward. And DEC was the entity which made the final call on the viability, both short-term and long-term, of this water system.
So, just a second. Go ahead.
Well, my question, it could be for Ross or for the assistant attorney. Why isn't the municipal action being directed towards the owner who owns and controls and operates the water sewage system for the trailer?
It is. There is a notice and order against the owner, as well as this notice to vacate for the residents. The owner has.
Where I don't have that. Where are they? I understand that there's been a court case with the owner. I understand that there's been a myriad of things with that, but what's the municipal action that happened when the notice to vacate happened? Is it that they're intending to remove their rental income by moving these trailers off of their property?
So they can't fix their system.
The intent is to, the owner has not voluntarily taken steps, meaningful steps to repair the water system. The owner has not taken steps voluntarily to protect the residents. I know that Ms. Johnson and some of them have unilaterally taken some steps to try and protect themselves. In general, this is a health and safety issue and not a habitable place to live, because there are serious deficiencies in the water and sewer system, which are very technical and, buried and below ground in nature. So the intent against the owner is to get them to stop trying to solicit new residents into this park while they are failing to, at such time as they've repaired the water system. And the intent is to protect the residents who are there by making sure that the water they drink is not unsafe.
Understood, but what I'm asking is, there was a notice to vacate on the owners of the building's doors, their mobile homes. But I haven't seen a municipal action that specifically towards, at the same time, at least in the packet that I have, and that's what I'm asking is, what has the municipality done towards the owner at this time period?
I think I would refer you to page 23, I believe it is, in the MOA's packet. Ross, you'll have to back me up if that's, I think that's the right document. MOA 23.
Mrs. Ritz was prepared her attorney was prepared to provide an affidavit. They never received notice. And I requested a copy of it because they said it went certified mail to German seat. They've never received a copy. Also, they're no longer running the park. The general manager is, and he's never received a copy either. And I must bring you guys back to the notice to vacate, since that is what we're here about. There's nothing in here that addresses us.
Excuse me.
This isn't 20.
Okay, but at least the one that's on page MOA 23 was back in 2020. I'm talking about the notice to vacate that was in 2022, which has been posted. But what I'm asking is, I understand that there's a $500 a day per violation, and this was a previous thing with a different water system, but as of right now, what municipal action is being directed towards the owner, or are they still getting charged $500 a day?
I'm sorry, I'd refer you to MOA 37. I knew there were two of them in there and I got the wrong one. My apologies.
Okay. So the owner is getting fined $100 to $500 per day per violation for each individual manufactured home that is on the trailer park?
Ross, that's correct, right?
So I issued a notice of violation, a notice to vacate, all the above. So they've all been posted on all the trailers. Notice to vacate has. Yes, the owner can be charged $100 to $500 per day per violation, as the code reads.
Can, but are they?
Could you please state your name too?
My name is Bill Peterson. I'm a
Thank
motor
you.
abatement officer for the County of Anchorage. We reported against the property for all the fines, and yes, they are accruing daily. They've been recorded against the property twice, and have been mailed to the owner. Also, all I have to do is post it on the property, and that meets the requirements of notifying the owner. So all have been posted and all of it's mailed. They've received the notice and orders and have signed for them. I'm not sure why they haven't signed for the notice to vacate, probably because it comes from the community.
Okay, just to clarify, so there's been 2 instances of charging the owner. I don't know if it's, or.
So notice violation is the first process, first step we do. There was no response. We issued a notice and order after giving them ample time to appeal or notify us of their changes. They didn't reply to the notice and order, so then we recorded against the property.
And when you say, I'm sorry, just educate me on this. When you say you filed against the property, that means you're putting a lien on the property for a particular violation amount.
These notices are recorded, the notice and orders are recorded against the property in the state.
Okay, and then they have dollar amounts assigned to them that are on this property?
They're occurring daily, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just, for the panel's benefit, I'm going to echo what Ms. Dimboski put in the chat, that if there are questions directly for ADEC, Commissioner Bruni is on the line and available if you have questions directly for ADEC.
So this is, again, towards staff. One of the problems I have with this situation is that the notice to vacate does seem to be directed solely towards at least directly towards the tenants of the mobile homes. And I find that troubling because they don't have any legal right to make any changes that would rectify any of the issues that the DEC has taken with the water system. So it seems to me that it's misdirected action. Is that?
Through the chair,
Yes.
if I may. That's Municipal Attorney Bowman. If this were an apartment building instead of a trailer park, similarly, the residents of the apartment building would have no ability to rectify any of the problems with the apartment building if the owner of the building did not do so. And yet, if the building needed to be condemned, they would need to be, we'd have to follow a very similar process.
But it's not an apartment building.
It's a
No,
owned house that
Right.
people actually own. It's their home.
There's a difference.
and if they had safe water systems at their home, it would be different. It is a privately owned water system serving these residences. The only basis of the notice to vacate is the lack of a safe water system. And the municipality is not condemning the individual trailers. We have offered to help through grant funding and through assisting with permit process, any resident to help move their trailer off-site.
Let's back up 1 second. You're not condemning the trailers, but you deem them dangerous buildings.
Because
So,
there are residents without safe water.
okay,
The structure itself as a movable structure is safe, but the water system attached to the structure, which is necessary under code for a residence, makes it an unsafe structure.
And yet, but they don't have the means or the legal ability to address those issues.
They could move their trailer off-site, and the municipalities offered and set up programs and grant funding to help with that process.
Through the chair,
Yes.
the municipality has not set up anything to help us now. The municipality, municipal attorney is not being truthful. The state of Alaska, through a grant program that was originally a FEMA grant that was going to replace our water system, turned into a grant relocation program, which the people you see sitting here behind me and myself did not qualify for. We've been turned down for that program.
I believe Ms. Johnson is referring to the NeighborWorks grant program, which is the same program I was referring to. And I know that there's been a lot of disinformation spread about the NeighborWorks program. They were banned, the NeighborWorks outreach individuals were banned from the Forest Park trailer site by the current manager of the site, told them they couldn't come on site. So I know that there's been some misinformation spread, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the residents aren't fully aware of the full scope of the grant program.
Can I interject on that? I'm one of the residents at Forest Park. My name is Cameron Parkman. I live in Space 21, and I have talked to a few individuals from Neighborhood Works, and I didn't qualify for any of those.
I also turned in everything they requested and do not qualify. This gentleman turned in everything he requested and does not qualify. Mr. Mark over there turned in everything, but you were told he didn't qualify. This is another resident.
I called the attorney for the lawsuit. I don't know because I make too much money. So everything I try to do is just basically, you don't know.
I'm sorry, your name for the record?
Thank you. Space 42. 42.
And I don't know if people, I don't know how many of you guys are from the Eagle River Cheviot area, but it's pretty common in our community. And my friend here who moved up from New Mexico along with her son-in-law, Cameron, a lot of people in Eagle River use bottled water. We have hit and miss wells out there, especially along Birchwood Loop as you get closer. A lot of our residents use bottled water. I mean, so bottled water, sampling, and oiled water, we're protected. And I believe that at least through this winter, and that's what I've asked Mr. Trombley for an extension because it is available in the municipal code, an extension. I'm really just trying to buy more time because I know what I've got going on. And I've got people who are willing to help us, partners in our community who are willing to help us. The only problem I've had so far is the engineer I talked to wanted $55,000 down just to start the design. And of course, if you're going to a bank or anything, you're going to need a plan. So I'm requesting that we at least have an extension to get us through this winter. A lot of us are preparing. One of our residents owns one restaurant in Eagle River and was getting ready to open his second restaurant and has now stopped that because of our insecurity. We're all insecure. We don't know what's going to happen next. We've been told that on November 9th, you guys are going to show up with the cops. You're going to lock us out of our homes. That's not legal. You can't do that without a writ of assistance from a court. I just don't see. And through the chair, I agree with you. Nothing in this notice to vacate is addressed to the residents at all. And I believe that makes it non-consequential. And everything I pointed out to you from Mr. Roy's affidavit, if I had presented that information in court, they would not have held his affidavit as credible. I also have Jeff Garness's information here that shows all the materials that were used to build this potable system.
Sorry, is that part of the, is that?
Part of the stuff that I couldn't rebut because I had to do it within 7 days and she didn't get me the information until exactly 7 days.
So that's fine. I mean,
Right.
I'm going to make a recommendation at the end of this that you can still submit that
Okay,
stuff.
cool.
But I'll make a recommendation after that.
Okay.
I heard Mr. Bowman, I believe.
Ms. Johnson, I just wanted to clarify, are you saying that the residents are going to try and privately fund the construction and repair of a new and different water system?
I'm saying that the residents are working and I take umbrage with what you said, the owners aren't doing anything because Mrs. Rich has worked very closely to provide us all the information we need, as-built and everything that we need to get to the proper people who are going to help us do this. Partners within the community have come forward willing to help. Unfortunately, until we know what's happening, nobody wants to stick their neck out on the line with ADC with what's this, like you said, you guys, and I agree, this case is like all over the place. But you guys are trying to take our individual homes that we own. And I don't believe this notice of order allows you to do that.
To the chair. I think if Jimmy could talk to Cindy and Ms. Johnson and explain to her how the state and the municipality operates as far as someone helping them to the licensing and the code requirements and the engineering that goes along with that.
I'm very familiar with 18 AAC. I've helped prepare these submittals in the past.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with the state guidelines for operating water system.
No, Jimmy, not how for someone to get involved with them to, as Ms. Johnson has stated, to help them to install the system, the requirements that would have to be overseen by the municipality.
The paperwork aspect of it.
That'd be overseen by the state ADC. If you have questions about that, we have Commissioner Bruni on the line.
It has to be designed by a licensed engineer. It can't be a licensed contractor. It has to be submitted to the state for review and approval.
We get an engineer to do the design, then we hire the contractors.
So how are they gonna remove the septic system that's close to the water line and feeds this above ground system?
We have a waiver for that,
From who?
the state of Alaska. And you're talking about a system that's been abandoned. It's no longer,
I'm
So why does
sorry,
it
but
produce yellow, brown snow during the winter?
we,
excuse me?
the,
1 minute. 1 second.
I'm gonna have to,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to interrupt you there. I'm gonna, just to reiterate, I take issue with the notice to vacate being presented towards, or being, if not issued directly to, at least it affects the individuals who are living in this place.
More than it does anybody else.
Ma'am, please.
I just, what do you think?
I agree. My issue that I take is it's very different than a tenant building where people are renting. This is somebody's home and the actual code violation is out of their control. And I understand that they're trying to fix it. But really, to me, as the court case and the mountains of documents have shown, that this violation has been going on for quite some time. Now, there has been some things I do realize that have changed. It looks to me like one of the wells has been abandoned. I don't think it's been decommissioned. They're using a church well that's a different water source. My personal take is that I don't think the tenant should have to vacate. And I do but with stipulations, I would think that the boil notice is still on. And I do think that the owner needs to correct the water system. And if that means, I mean, well, obviously they need to hire a licensed engineer. They need to have a licensed contractor. I agree with all of what has been stated. But to me, the real issue that we're looking at tonight is should the tenants have to vacate their building or their homes, their houses, due to this water contamination that's out of their control? And I don't think they should. I think there's a way that we could work together where health and safety, I should say the municipality could work with, but to do the best that we can. There's already been fines that are being established towards the owner. And I think that's the intent, is to get them to fix the water system. I don't know, out of my purview, what else they can do for the municipality towards the owner to get them to fix this.
May I offer?
Is this Ben?
Yes, Ben Bowman, Assistant Municipal Attorney.
Okay.
Through the chair, the fines that are accruing under the municipal code are catastrophically dwarfed by the fines which have already accrued for the EPA. It's just being enforced by the Department of Justice, and also has been enforced, have accrued under ADEC and State of Alaska Department of Justice. The owners have not responded to these 6 to 7 feet. I believe there, and Commissioner Bruni might need to correct me on this, but I believe currently there's over 6 to 7 figures worth of fines against the owner related to their violations, and it has not engendered them to fix the water system yet.
Is it just on this current property, or is it on any properties in the municipality?
This property.
Through the chair,
Yes.
what Mr. Bowman is referring to is a proposed judgment from the state of Alaska for fines. That is still ongoing, and this case was appealed to the Supreme Court. This case is ongoing. This order that you have received in your packet with all the back information was signed April 22nd, 2022. We received our notice to vacate May 9th. So the state waited until they finished their case, but that case is still on appeal. And again, the proposed judgment, which I have a copy of right here, suggests what you were suggesting, that they require us to get an engineer, they require us to maintain the boil water notices, which is we've now incorporated as part of our rental agreement. Everybody here is familiar with it. Most of us use bottled water all the time, but they've laid out a system of things that we need to do. So that suggests to me that ADEC does believe we can make it through another winter with this system. But again, we're making improvements, and by we, I mean me and the new general manager. We do have material on site now to insulate the pipes so that they're not laying directly on the ground. But I will point out, if we have any problems, we know exactly where to go. We don't have to dig 10 feet down like we used to have to do. But as long as we maintain our sampling, which I can provide sampling results that show you we've had one bad sample.
And again,
All
submit
that.
submit
Yep.
those,
Mhm.
submit those along.
And we have the bottled water, boiled water notice. I can take a shower and do my laundry at the same time. And I believe, included in my packet, I sent you video of my water running in my house. So that meets the sanitation needs. It might not necessarily, they might not like us drinking the water, we agree, but everybody's taking every precaution they can. And we're doing the best we can. I don't want to lose my home.
Understood.
Through the chair, to clarify on the state court case.
Yes.
Motion for reconsideration by the defendants, the Ritzes and Ritz Consulting, one limited partnership. There's a series of businesses that are involved. The motion for reconsideration was denied. There was several motions for extension of time. And there's not been an appeal, best of my knowledge, at this time. It's case number 3AN 1804515CL, CI. It's top of the header for the on MOA 02.
And through the chair, I would agree with Mr. Feldman, although nothing in that case affects any of the residents. We're not part of the case.
You say, who was it on the cover? I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
To the chair. If I could direct the question to Ross. Ross, with all these different agencies involved in this through the state, where does the municipality fall into this?
Ben might be better at addressing that. Ben, would you want to take a shot at that?
Primarily EPA and DEC were monitoring and dealing with this case. It's a clean water system issue. So they were keeping track of that. That's more their bailiwick than ours. After a certain point, DEC contacted the MOA and requested that we use our general condemnation powers. Since they could not do that, the best they could do was shut down the water system, and they had not, the owners had not been responsive to DEC's attempts to do so. So DEC contacted MOA and asked us to use our general condemnation powers to protect the residents and try.
Ben, reading through this packet, do they actually know who the owners are?
Yes, it is the owners. Well, there's a series of corporations and then two individuals who seem to be at the base of those corporations. Paul Ritz, Valerie Ritz, and then organizations including Ritz Consulting Forest Park LLC, Ritz Consulting One Limited Partnership. And those are the four entities which are named in the case, and seem to be in the chain of ownership for this. They've all been held jointly and severally liable by the state court in the order which is included with your packet.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Bowman, you're saying that the appeal to the appeal to the April 18th court decision was included in the appellant documents, but it's just included. It didn't say whether or not it was, whether it was accepted or rejected. Is that the appeal to which you were referring to earlier?
You're talking about, can you refer to me to a page number? I'm trying to make sure we're looking at the same thing.
In the appellant package, page 49.
That's a motion for reconsideration. That is when it's not quite an appeal. It's right after an order is issued. When within a certain time after the first order is issued, you can ask the judge to reconsider they can ask them to reconsider their order and their findings. That motion for reconsideration was denied on July 14th. Wait, let's see. That's it has been denied, but I'm trying to look on the on the state website at the same time. Yeah, there was the order denying reconsideration clarification on 7/14/2022. So that motion has been denied.
Commissioners, just to call attention, the municipality structural inspector as well as Commissioner Bruni both have their hands up.
Thank you. That would be Don Hickle.
My apologies, it's hard to see on the screen.
And which one?
Let's go with Don first.
Go ahead, Don.
This is Don Hickle. I'm the Chief Structural Inspector and the Head of Code Abatement. Notice and orders, notices of violation, the notice to vacate is issued to the property owner. The tenants, by default, are caught in the mix. The tenants, they really don't have an appeal right. They're not a property owner. They cannot make improvements to a property. You cannot pull a permit at the permit office if you don't own the property, right? So they're tenants. They've got all these plans to fix things. That's great. And it's an unfortunate situation. But the bottom line is the property owner is the party in responsible charge. They pull the permits. They make sure the water system is legal and it's installed by a licensed contractor. This has been going on since 2005, since the Ritzes bought this property. This is, 17 years. And today, if you drive by this trailer park, there's a for rent sign on the entrance to the trailer park. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Sorry,
Mr. Broom.
Mr. Brune?
Mr. Broom?
Hello. Yep, for the record, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Jason Bruni. I'm the Commissioner of the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. I think what was just said by the previous speaker encapsulates everything I wanted to say as well. The owners of this location are bad actors. The people that have lived here have been, unfortunately, been not given safe drinking water for a long time. We issued notices of violation back in 2016. We've been trying to get the water upgraded in the system. There isn't just drinking water issues. There's daylighting of sewage issues as well. The individual, Mr. Ritz, has been criminally charged. We have been trying to get this system upgraded. It has not happened. We absolutely worked with, and my people have met with the folks in the community there to try, and there are grants. I know that people said that they were not able to get them. I think I can't speak for them, but I know that there are systems out there. We want these people to be safe. We want them to have safe drinking water. And it's not acceptable to allow people to continue to be on this property. We appreciate the municipality for all of its efforts in condemning this property. It's the right thing. We gave tons of time for them to find alternative locations, and the slumlord that currently owns it, trying to take advantage of poor people and having a for rent sign out there to this day is just frankly disgusting. I would very much appreciate that this organization not allow these poor individuals to continue to be there. They should be removed and the property should be condemned. Thank you.
Is there anyone else online that I've missed?
I believe they have all been taken care of.
Bruce has got his hand up.
Are those lingering hands up or
Bowman, excuse me.
To the board.
Ben and Jason, your hands are still up on the online. Are you still wishing to speak, or can we take them off?
Sorry, legacy hand.
Thank you.
In response to the ADEC commissioner, sitting on the ADEC commissioner's desk right now is a submittal from Jeff Garness for our water system, which we just invested $500,000 into in January 2014. What the board needs to know is these go tandem. Our water system will not be approved unless our septic system will be approved, and vice versa. But the submittal by Jeff Garness is sitting on their desk right now. We are not daylighting sewer in this forest park. And if you would give me a little leeway here, I would like to, and this is why I'm frustrated, is because we're getting mixed messages. And I'm sure that you've noticed that yourself. I would like to read from the state of Alaska's proposed judgment against the Ritzes, which addresses us, just this one section.
Can you give us a page number?
They don't print out the page numbers, and you don't have a copy of this because this is just filed with the court. It's a proposed judgment. It's again trying to get the Ritzes to do their things, and this is section C of this.
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Bruni again. I just wanted to add that I just confirmed with my environmental health director, we have not received any plan.
Any plan?
You just said that sitting on our desk is a plan that was submitted by Jeff Garness. We have not received that.
For the wastewater system.
We're talking about drinking water violations, ma'am. That's the issue.
In the wastewater system,
People aren't drinking. This is from a Safe Drinking Water Act, the federal EPA law that was passed. The drinking water is the issue. There is also daylighting issues, but the drinking water, ma'am, is not safe.
Okay. If the Forest Park water distribution system is to continue to operate, and this is from the Attorney General for the state of Alaska, if the Forest Park water distribution network is to continue to operate after November 9th, 2022, the day of the notice to vacate issued by the municipality of Anchorage is to take effect, defendants must do the following. This is addressed to the owners. unless and until the system ceases to operate. Within 15 days of learning that the distribution network will continue to operate after November 9th, contract with a professional engineer not party to this suit who is licensed in the state of Alaska to design and construct a water system, and to provide ADEC and this court with the evidence of that contract. Within 45 days of learning that the distribution network will continue to operate after November 9th, after that date, ensure that such engineer submits engineering plans to ADEC for the design and construction of the new water system. By November 10th, 2023, ensure that the construction of such water system is complete in accordance with all governing regulations. This is the most recent thing put out by the Attorney General for the state of Alaska in the case that you're reading. And they suggest that we could continue this system after November 9th. I didn't realize that this was adversarial, like us against you type thing. Again, I'm just trying to save my home. And I can provide, I was managing the park in 2005. I went through the water operating. I can provide all the water testing samples from that time forward. And we have not had issues with our water being contaminated. And I take umbrage with him using the words that we're contaminated. Our water is not contaminated as of this date. And I have those up to today, this last month, water system sample results here with me tonight. But again, we're not using it for anything but flushing our toilets and doing laundry. And again, the boil water notice is the cure under the pump, I believe under the plumbing code. Jackson, Mississippi just went through it.
To the chair. To my knowledge, there's nothing in the UPC that states anything about boiling water. You know, the only, in the UPC and the plumbing code, you know, we only have a few sections that address the quality and type of water, you know, and it's in section 601, you know, except where not deemed necessary for safety or sanitation, the authority having jurisdiction, each plumbing fixture shall be provided with adequate supply of potable running water piped thereto in an approved manner. And beyond that, it doesn't give any stipulation.
And I did Google through your thing, you couldn't find anything on the boil water within the municipality. Yeah. But I will mention in my packet I included, there are 31 perpetual boil water notices across the state of Alaska and multiple overland water systems.
Mr. Hickle, your hand is still up. Do you want to speak?
Yes, please. This is Don Hickle again. I just want to remind the board that these are tenants. They are not property owners. And it's unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation. But they are tenants. They have no legal standing to pull a permit to hire contractors on someone else's private property. It's very unfortunate. It's a tough thing to do, but I'm sorry. The building code says that you have to have potable water. It is now considered a dangerous building. We notified the property owners through the service using 2370 of the dangerous building code. We've gone through the process.
Thank you. We understand.
So if I disconnect my water from the water system, is it a dangerous building?
We would like to.
Okay.
So how does that work?
So how this works is now you close both sides and go into deliberations where only you three are able to openly deliberate and ask a question if necessary to staff and to the appellant. And that is it. And then you deliberate and you can vote after that.
So, I would like to try and close out both arguments here. Are there any closing statements that staff would like to make?
A slight correction to that. The appellant gets a rebuttal, and then you guys enter into your own discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, so no closing arguments from staff.
Okay. Do you have any closing
Yeah, and
arguments that you
you
would
guys,
like to make?
people keep referring that this is not our thing, we can't put it in a water system. This says to all mobile manufactured homes. It says to all of us. It doesn't say to the owner or anybody. It says to everybody.
Could you please help, let me know what you're holding up?
This is the notice and order. This is the what you posted on our homes. The notice and order. And it's addressed to all mobile home park owners.
That's page 30, MOA 37.
Thank you.
That was the one.
And for clarification, the tenants aren't trying to put in a water system. I'm just coordinating with people who are wanting to put in a water system.
Okay.
My father was the second largest contractor in the state of Alaska in the 80s. And so my whole life has been involved in construction, and I'm familiar with all the people in our community, the drillers, the contractors, everybody. So I reached out to a lot of people.
Do you guys have any questions for either party?
I don't. I think there's a misunderstanding here that this is, you're renting spaces in this trailer court, and it's a very unfortunate situation that you're involved in. But we have the state and the municipality guidelines that we have to go by. And I understand totally what you're trying to do, but we have to move forward with what's already, with the courts and the state requirements.
So my rebuttal to you would be that the municipality has no jurisdiction over this. ADEC does.
It was that direct.
Excuse me.
Do you have a question?
I just tried to answer. It's not a question. It's just that no, I do not. I don't.
Okay. Well, I would like to call for deliberation. Do we have a time limit on that, or can we?
No, you do not have a time limit.
Can we do it in the kitchen?
We can put things on pause, yes.
Okay. We're going to call for deliberation right now, and we will be back. Hopefully, not too long. Thank you.
There is food back here that Hannah brought, if any of you guys in there's.
There's not much, so, there are cookies, here.
Sorry, water. Oh, yeah.
Yes, here. Right in here, Ross.
Are those chilled ones or? No.
They're not chilled anymore.
It's gonna be warm, but. There you go.
And how do I get that additional information to them?
They will have to ask for it.
Okay.
Oh, taking a break? How many minutes,
Undecided at this point.
how many minutes will we break?
Don't know. They're in deliberations right now to discuss the case and what their decision will be.
I've got a little bit of a hearing impairment, so I can't hear everything goes on.
Okay.
I'll have some water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
think I might be able to put that on pause, but I wouldn't even know where to begin.
When you're messing with that. There's stuff going on in the text.
That's catching our comments. That's why I kind of said that. If I may ask a question, who is the guest C? If you could let me know so I can put you into our record. Hello?
I was gonna ask you, who was that talking on that,
On that was Ben Bowman, who was our legal counsel. And the other gentleman was Jason Broom.
I don't know.
He's with the ADEC.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mhm. Above Greg. Oh, we're recording. Careless about that. It's going to record everything we say. Wait till I get the transcript. Your name is not going to be what you think it is.
You could take the whole section of deliberation and delete it though.
I will be. I'll be able to. Sorry, but and then I'll have to ask, get with Nelson and see about being able to cut this deliberation time out of the section there. He should be able to help me. I've got to send out I want to say nationwide, but department-wide email to see if we can find our cord like this. Because I borrowed that from the planning department, so we could.
Yeah, maybe
Get
if
on
you take a picture of the plug and then take a picture of the information on the transformer.
Yeah.
Because I know we have a whole bunch of stuff kicking around the plumbing department that.
We might be able to find.
Just a box of old condemned electronics.
Excellent. Yeah, that CPU or whatever we want to call it, they upgraded it and it no longer has enough ports.
I got you.
So. There we go. Need a cookie?
There you go, yeah.
I should have given you yours.
There you go.
Cookie anyone?
Yeah, I bet his family's really enjoying that long vacation after moving. Man, my parents are going through that. And they're just wore out. And I was like, hey, you guys need to go fly somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Take it easy.
Did we go somewhere nice?
Well, they sold their home in South Anchorage and they moved out to Wasilla.
Right.
Oh, out of the
Yeah.
Because I know you stayed by where I was out.
Kid, easy involved.
They are fully retired and they really enjoy that area.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I I just came back from Montana, seeing my mom, and that she's rural in a sense.
Mhm.
And lots of families from there too. But what is there, like, less than 10,000 Ross in Havre?
Yeah.
Yeah, how this goes.
Farm country.
Yep, yeah.
Make
They're
properties.
kind of out in Boonies, they barely have cell reception.
Oh,
So they moved out there and then, because I was at, did a lot of, home inspections and stuff, and I was kind of overseeing all that for them. And I have GCI, and I have excellent reception out there.
Oh, wow.
And they have AT&T, and they go out there like, hey, we have to get new phones.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I got rid of GCI because I would go back to DC.
Oh, yeah, traveling out of state is terrible. Every time I go, I get one of those SIM cards.
My boyfriend and I,
Yep.
we'd set up the wave, and then he'd go first, and then all of a sudden he'd drop out. I'm like, I still have it. So I plugged myself in, and we just get all the way back from Maryland, or not Maryland, Massachusetts to DC
Yep.
until we get that better service.
Yeah, I'll do a AT&T prepaid SIM card and just pop it in there when I'm traveling.
It was crazy. That is actually with putting in GCI.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
well, actually, I had GCI, he had AT&T. So we were just- And buying GCI, or AT&T got better.
Oh, yeah.
And.
Yep.
And violating for not asking the law on the east wall.
I'm gonna have a cookie.
That's why I was. The east wall shut down, at least.
I had lunch at 12:30, so.
So this is the road to the mailboxes. Say, this is where that above groundwater system is. So what, this septic field back here somewhere, what is that?
The board is back.
Chair.
You've got to say that you're back in session at such a time.
The board is back in session at what appears to be 7:46. For the preamble to our decision, I'll hand it over to Mr. Hamels.
So what I wanted to explain what the building board's task at hand is. What the building board's task is to look at the information that's been provided to us in the packets and through testimony here today, and look through a very specific, focused code compliance lens if something is in code compliance. It is not with our own personal set of morals. It's not through our personal opinions. It's using our best professional judgment that we have as professionals to look through this lens and determine if something is in a code compliance. Our vote today is not going to solve this issue in full, but we do have to make a vote at the particular appeal that is at hand.
And just to remind everyone, the appeal is to the notice of is in appealing of the notice to vacate. We the board find the course of action followed by the municipality of Anchorage in posting the notice to vacate is in compliance with the established municipal code. And we will now call for a vote. Second.
Okay. Mr. Hamels?
Yay.
Mr. McCann?
Yay.
And Mr. Sobolewski?
Yay.
3 votes. In yay.
Do we have any comments that any of the board members would like to present?
Sorry. I guess the recommendation that I would like to make to the municipality is to do everything in their power to make it as easy as possible for the residents of Forest Park Trailer Board to relocate or, however that needs to happen. That's my recommendation.
Any other comments?
Okay. Now that has, you now have to let her know that if she wishes to file, not agree with your decision, she can now file with the full panel. However, she will have to pay the $500 fee. And you'll have to let her know that.
So, is that presented here?
I don't think so. That's why I mentioned it.
I did have one additional comment, which was, please do follow up with filing the rest of the documents that you alluded to this evening. Don't not do that.
Okay, I will.
I'm still looking, so if you
Well, I'll paraphrase it then.
okay.
If you disagree with the decision that we've reached this evening, you can you can file up a follow-up appeal with the full board. There is a fee associated with that. I believe it's $500, but that is another step that you can take. Is there anything else?
That is it. And she does have 10 days
10 days from?
from the decision, the written decision that I send out tomorrow.
Okay.
With your 3 of your signatures. She has 10 days from that day, which will be tomorrow, to to appeal. And that would be October 3rd. If I don't see anything by 4:30, 5 o'clock, you've lost the right to continue an appeal.
And that's why I filed the appeal, even though you suggest that it might have gone to the owners. If you don't file an appeal within 30 days, you lose your right to appeal. And I lose my right to due process to get to the Superior Court, which is where I'd really like to be.
But I would like to provide some recommendation in that case, but I'm not a lawyer,
It's
so I
okay.
really can't.
I will let you know, 2 other people from the DEC did come online,
Okay.
just to put it in the record.
With that, we will move to adjournment.
All right.
Second. Okay.
Okay.
This concludes this evening's meeting of the Board of Building Regulation Examiners and Appeals.
And thank you all for showing up. All of you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone online. Do you have any comments before I log everyone off? Okay, thank you for attending.